Hey, this is Matt Cain with the San Francisco Giants, and you guys are listening to Torture Cast.
You're listening to a podcast by and for fans of the San Francisco Giants with hosts Willie Dills, Chad King, and Ben Lee.
Let's go Giants! SF Giants! Let's go Giants! SF Giants! Dedicated to the greatest team in Major League Baseball history, the San Francisco Giants. This is Torture Cast.
Welcome to the Torture Cast, the podcast by and for fans of the San Francisco Giants. This is episode 86, right? Yeah, we're at 86. Wow. Including bonus episodes, we're over 100. I'm your host, Chad King, and unfortunately tonight we are without Willie, who has a friend in town, and Ben is attending to some business. But we do have one Eric Nathanson live from me anyway, live from the House of the Mouse down in Florida. Eric Nathanson, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, Chad. The Giants are winning baseball games, and I see the mouse all the time. I'm doing well.
Yeah, well, the Giants have been winning a lot lately, and in fact, it's been a pretty amazing couple of weeks. And you know, we apologize that we haven't recorded for, I guess, 2 weeks now. I was out at sea for a research trip, and just things didn't work out for the guys to record, but we are back. We're going to, plan on being here every week throughout the season, barring certain things that happen. But, not last podcast, but the podcast before that, I believe, maybe 2 podcasts before that, the Giants had the worst record in the National League, or one of the worst records in the National League at 4-10. And we were sitting here thinking, all right, yeah, it's early. Let's wait to see where they are. And in fact, I think this was a podcast that was just you and me, Eric. And we both agreed that the 25% or quarter mark of the season, 40 games basically, is a good barometer to kind of wait until to see how this team is going to do. And everybody was panicking at 4-10. And we said, hey, look, if by 40 games they're around 500, they're around 20 wins, we're going to be okay. Because by then, of course, they're going to have Hunter Pence, and then eventually, maybe, Matt Cain. At least 2 of those things have come to fruition.
Yeah, sometime.
Yeah, sometime. We don't know. Obviously, we can talk about that later. But as of right now, they're at the 38-game mark, but they have 20 wins. So we were hoping they'd get to 20 by 40. They're at 20 at 38. So even if they lose the first 2 to the Dodgers, they'll be 20-20. And after a 4-10 start, that's fantastic. In fact, right now they have the best record in all of the National League and the second best record in the major leagues since their 4-10 start. They've gone 16-8. So how can you complain about a team having the best record in the National League after that start? I mean, I'm happy, and Hunter Pence is back. How you feeling about this, Eric?
All is right in Giants world. I was so happy. I was so happy to see you put this as the first thing in the notes, because I've been saying it as I watch games. I've been thinking it over and over again that we talked about if they're at 500, if they're at 500 when Pence gets back, things are going to be fine. And after the weekend that they just had in Cincinnati, it's like a blanket of good news for Giants fans. It's a reassuring thought. It shows that that's the team that Giants fans we've come to know and love. It's really good to see. It's so nice. I didn't think they'd actually do this kind of offense to make us feel really good about this, but I mean, to turn it around like that and be 16-8 after starting out 4-10, that's impressive. Over 500 total, and back. Everything is right. Belt's hitting right now, so that's kind of why everything's right with the world. That's one of those reasons and things like that. Belt's hitting right now. Posey's put one out. Belt 3 home runs. That's still. You probably have it down here somewhere, but Belt in his last 3 games, you mentioned it. We're talking about the here and the now, and having Belt and Pence, and then Crawford hit back-to-back in the lineup has been crazy for the Giants.
Yeah, Belt has been absolutely, Pagan is leading the team right now in average, but Belt is right behind him with a 321 average. He has homered in 3 straight games, all in Cincinnati, of course, which is great because, last year Belt had that great start. He was leading the National League in home runs. I believe he was up to 9 at some point in May. And everyone thought, oh, my God, this guy's going to hit 30, 35 home runs this year. I do think that he is a guy, if he was completely healthy for a full season, that is capable of hitting 25 home runs in a year. And maybe this is the year. I mean, obviously, he only has 3 right now, so he may not get there. But it is really good to see him making a lot of contact because before this road trip, in fact, he was hitting under 300, and he had struck out something like 9 times and 12 at-bats, and everybody was, calling for his head. And unfortunately, Giants fans, well, I should say baseball fans in general, do seem to have a short memory. And they're not looking at the kind of long stretch of it. And I have certainly never been one, because of his track record, to say, Belt should not be in there. I mean, I absolutely, even when he was struggling, I was like, no, he's just got to work through this, whatever. And he's hitting 321 now with 3 home runs. How can anyone be upset about that? I mean, he's hitting over 500 in the last week.
I can't believe he's over 300. Like, my mind is literally boggled. Do you remember earlier this season the whole Bell 069 thing that was going on?
Yeah, 321. 321.
Okay, VR was having a field day with it.
Yeah.
It was so close to a Belt 69, and he's at 321. I mean, how'd that happen? Where did that happen?
Well, that's what again, beginning of the season, every base hit, every out changes the statistics so greatly. You get into a 1 or 2 week hot streak, and your stats just rocket. It's a little bit different in August when you have a good week, right? It's going to raise your batting average a few points, of course, but not like now. So, I mean, he's definitely erased any bad start to the season. I don't think Giants fans should be concerned about him at this point. Again, if it's 260, 270, 280, I'm totally fine with that. Assuming he hits, 15 or so home runs, he's going to be a serviceable, above average first baseman. He's not going to be Will Clark probably anytime soon. He's certainly not going to be, an Albert Pujols or something like that. But that's not who this guy is. And so the Giants need who he is right now, and he's absolutely delivering. So it's been fantastic to see. But this last road trip, of course, they went 4-2. In Houston, they split. And in Cincinnati, they took 3 out of 4. What's interesting is that both losses are by 1 run, and they were both 4-3. They were both lost by both Affeldt and Romo giving up solo bombs in the 8th inning. So, I'm not putting blame on those guys, but they were really, really close to having a perfect.
They're winnable games.
Exactly, they're winnable games. They were not crushed. They were very close to actually having a sweep on the road trip. So. Those are positive signs. I mean, even though they went 4-2, and they won the last one 9-8, and that was a fun game, but the Reds never led. It's one of those things where it's like, well, okay, they were 4-2, but they could have been 5-1 or 6-0. So it's good to see that kind of progress going on right now.
I agree. I got to tell you, though, both losses, they sat with me, especially that Houston loss.
Yeah.
The Houston one was really crappy. I don't know if you were back and saw that they built a 4-1 lead and then slowly gave it away to solo home runs. It was really kind of disheartening.
Yeah.
The one in Houston really, really felt winnable. It was kind of frustrating. It was like, oh, I hope we don't have to look back on this game once upon a time. But then they did their thing with the 30 runs. And 30 runs in 3 games is nothing to sneeze at. Nobody thought that the Giants offense would score 30 runs over a 3-game span. Anytime.
Anytime this season. No way. No way.
No.
And I guess they had set a franchise record for the most consecutive games of scoring fewer than 6 runs. It was certainly this whole season. I don't know what that number was, but I read that stat today on Twitter. But it's pretty incredible because, suddenly they busted out. I don't know if it's, the Great American Ballpark, the sandbox that it is, or if it's the Reds pitching, or if it's the Giants just waking up, or a combination of the 3. But I don't care. I mean, whatever they needed, they got. I mean, they absolutely destroyed the Reds in games 2 and 3. And of course, game 4 was a fun one. They got a big lead, and the Reds chipped away. But honestly, looking back at that last game, the Reds should have won that because they had so many opportunities to score, and they had for example, Jay Bruce was up with the bases loaded and nobody out, right? And he hits one off the wall, the right field wall. They scored 1 run off of that play. He got a single, and the bases were still loaded. I still don't understand what the base runners were doing at that time, especially the guy on second. And I went back and I looked at the replay, and I'm like, how did they not score more than 1 run in that play? And they ended up scoring, I think, 3 runs in the inning, and that was the second or the third run of that inning. And they should have taken the lead, quite honestly, that inning. But the Giants, held on for the 9-8 win. Brandon Belt's solo home run to left center field is the one that secured it. But I think what was really fun was the bottom of the 9th of that game yesterday. Santiago Casilla comes in with a 9-8 lead.
That was awesome.
Yeah, and he has what they call an immaculate inning. And for him, it was an immaculate save. And what that is striking out 3 guys consecutively on only 9 pitches. So as you know, that's 3 strikes to each batter. And that's incredible. I mean, that's incredible. It doesn't not happen that often. And in fact, that is only the 79th immaculate inning in recorded baseball history, as far as we know. And of course, this game has been around for well over 125 years. And not only that, but I thought what was interesting is comparing it to other notable streaks and statistics in baseball. And I'm not saying that an immaculate inning is harder than a no-hitter. I think a no-hitter is definitely harder. But immaculate innings happen far less frequently than no-hitters. So I think that's pretty interesting. There's been 244 no-hitters thrown since 1901, but only 79 immaculate innings. So I think that's pretty funky.
That's an odd skew right there.
It is. I mean, I still think no-hitters harder. What's really interesting though is I think we're in the era of the specialty pitcher. I think we all know this, right? We have lefty-lefty, righty-righty. We got hold guys. We got save guys. We got long relief guys. We have middle relief guys. Starters don't go as long as they used to. And I think that kind of bears out to why immaculate innings are actually happening more frequently than they ever have before. I think I have it right here. 40 of the 79 immaculate innings, so that's more than half, have been thrown since 1997. Think about that.
Wow.
I mean, more than half of the immaculate innings have happened within the last 18 years. In fact,
That's crazy because...
Well, go ahead.
Well, no. Go ahead. You have a stat because I have a story, so you have a stat. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this was the second one of 2015, and we're only in the middle of May. There were 6 of these immaculate innings in 2014, the highest ever in any one year. I mean, 6! That's crazy. 6 of the 79, so almost 10% in the entire history of baseball happened just last year.
Nine pitches, 9 strikes. It's such a great feat. It really is. Here's the thing. I've been umpiring baseball games since I was 10 years old. And I umpired a good 20 years. And there's only 1 inning in my entire time of umpiring. And I umpired hundreds upon hundreds of baseball games. Mm-hmm. There's only 1 inning I ever umpired that was 9 strikes. And I'll never forget it. And it was done by a 10-year-old. And I mean, I've umpired games where, one team was demonstrably better than the other team. They were beating the crap out of them. Whatever the mercy rule was going to be, They were going to hit it at that time. And they were going to hit it by a big margin. I'd seen it enough. But I never saw the 9-pitch inning. I saw it once by a 10-year-old kid. Casilla the other day, I noticed it while it was happening. My interest kind of peaked up. I was like, wait a second. He went 1, 2, oh, and then I said something out loud during the during the third batter. And when he fouled it off, I was like, "Oh, thank goodness that was just the 0-1 pitch."
Right, not the 0-2.
Had he fouled off the 0-2 pitch, it would have automatically made it a 10-pitch inning, and it was over.
Yeah.
And then it was just kind of cool that he did it. I mean, it's not something you see every day. It really isn't. It's one of those you go to the ballpark, you see for the first time things.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not anything a pitcher is thinking about doing. They're just trying to throw strikes. I mean, I think it might only enter a pitcher's mind, and I highly doubt that most of the pitchers are thinking about it when they're literally to the last batter and they get the first strike. And then they might be thinking, that's 7 strikes in a row. But other than that, I mean, they're not thinking about it. They're in a groove, and everything lines up.
He might not even have noticed it. He might have thought it was 1-2 on the first batter for all he knew at that point, you know? That's the great thing about that one.
So what's interesting about these stats, I'll continue with them. So Rex Brothers did it to the Giants last year, so they were a victim of it last year. And
I don't remember.
Casilla is the first Giant to do this since Oral Hershiser in 1998 versus Colorado. So I thought that was interesting. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. The last Giant to do it was one of the perennial Dodgers with his short stint with the Giants, and it was, 17 years ago. So it's been a long time since a Giant has done that. So another fun note is I noticed this. It's not a good thing for the Giants, but it doesn't matter. It's when they sucked. It happened 3 times in 1979 in the big leagues. All 3 times it happened to the San Francisco Giants. So I thought that was kind of an odd thing. You think about all the teams and what are the odds that, if it's going to happen 3 times, that it happens to the same team. It's a little weird.
Yeah, I thought that was amazing. I really did. I thought that was phenomenally amazing stat. I mean, the odds have to be
crazy,
lottery odds,
right? Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, they have to be lottery odds at that point.
Yeah, and not only that, but like I was saying, that basically more than half of them have happened since 1997, way back in 1979. I don't have the number in front of me, but it was probably only the 20-something time it's happened, and it happened 3 times in 1 year. So that was like a huge boom of immaculate innings, and on top of that, it all happened to the Giants. So it's kind of like, you guys sucked that year. How does that happen? So I looked at another thing, and so since 1997, now Grant, here's what's really cool. More than half of them have happened since 1997. So I'm giving you the stat of basically the boom, the era of the immaculate inning, if you will. There have been, 2,430 games on average per year. 2,430 games per year since 1997. And you might add a game and subtract a game based on rainouts and extra playoffs for wild card ties, that kind of thing. But we're within 1% here. Then you multiply that by 9 innings. Again, you're going to have some 8.5 inning games. You're going to have some extra inning games. So it's actually a conservative estimate because there's certainly more innings than the 9 per game. If you do that math, and there were 40 of them since 1997, that averages out to 1 immaculate inning every 10,000 innings since 1997. That's, to me, completely insane. Completely insane.
Wow.
There's about 21,000 innings pitched per year in the major leagues, and you have 1 in 10,000 since 1997. So it's just, and that's, again, like I said, during the boom of this. So prior to 1997, obviously it happened far less than 1 in every 10,000 innings. So it is kind of a lottery kind of thing. And
that was some great math for a great stat. I got to tell you, that really was.
Well, I just, I've always heard about immaculate innings. I was always intrigued by them. And so today I kind of dove into the math because I love that kind of stuff and just really wanted to, see what are the odds of this happening. So 1 in 10,000 is what, 0.01% or something like that. That's pretty incredible. So
I can still name the 10-year-old kid that threw the 9-pitch inning.
Oh my God! See, I mean, those things stick in your mind,
I
right?
swear to, yeah, absolutely, yeah. I know his name. I'll never forget it.
Oh,
I know
that's
what
too
team
funny.
he was playing for. Yeah, I know what field I was on. You know, I know everything about it.
So, out of all the
It's
things,
brilliant. It hits you. You're like, oh my God, this is gonna happen. Wow.
here it is. You're like, that was 3 feet outside. Strike 3. I'm making this happen. I'm the umpire.
Kid swung, thankfully.
I know, right? You're like, oh, that's close. Should I call that? I don't know.
The Don Larson perfect game type call.
Oh,
no,
God,
no,
yeah.
strike 3. Let's go. We're
Yeah,
done.
that's definitely there. Definitely there. Yeah, so that's fun stuff. I mean, considering it hasn't happened to the Giants or by the Giants since 1998, and considering all the accomplishments and amazing things that they have done as a team and individually since then, this is the one of those things that hasn't happened. 3 World Series, perfect game, no hitters, you name it, right? You know, and Petit with the record scoreless or perfect inning streak. You're going down the line here, and you know Barry Bonds with the home run records, and going on and on and on. And yet, this has not happened since the Giants pretty much sucked, and we're playing at Candlestick. So, pretty interesting stuff. So,
That's right. Candlestick.
yeah. So we talked a little bit about Belt. Obviously, we mentioned that Pence is back. He is.
Pence is back. I mean, he came out firing. Did you hear all this chatter about how he was calling them before his last
Exactly.
rehab start?
That's what I was
and
gonna
then calling
say.
them after his last rehab start. Like, yo, dude, you got to get me up there. I know what I'm doing. I know I'm ready. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. That's totally what I picture.
Yeah, he. I mean, it's documented. You know, he was actually supposed to have another few days, at least up to a week of rehab, but he was something was happening down in his rehab stint in Sacramento, and he thought, I am seeing the ball so effing well right now. You got to strike while the iron is hot. So
How cool is that?
It's great because you never hear of a player doing this kind of stuff, you know? And so he's calling management going, guys, you don't understand. I will tear the cover off the ball right now. I don't know about 2 weeks from now, but right now you need me because I am in a zone. And so they called him up. And what does he do in 3 games? Oh, I don't know. He goes 4 for 8 with a double, a home run, 5 runs, and a couple RBI. And what the hell? I mean,
5 runs. I mean, wow.
yeah, Brandon Crawford drove him in 3 times his first game, right? It was a double, a single,
Yeah.
and the grand slam.
He did. Yeah, Crawford had 6 runs batted in, and 3 of them were Pence.
Yeah. I mean, the dude is absolutely on fire right now. And this is exactly who we needed. I mean, think about his contributions the last 3 games. And not that Justin Maxwell couldn't have had a couple hits or
Whatever.
or
Hunter
other guys.
Pence is back.
Yeah. I mean, he's not in those 3 games, and I guarantee you the Giants lose at least one of those games, the 9-8 game probably, right? Because he had a 2-run home run in that game. The other 2, I know they were blowouts, so you can't say that they would have lost those. But point being, he is back. He is back. And it's not just what he's doing on the field, but clearly the last 3 years we know what his presence has done for the team in the clubhouse. And his energy has got to be just so amazing to these guys. And it's got to just pep them up. I mean, he comes back and they score 30 runs. What the hell? I mean, it's like...
Yeah, I mean, am I crazy to think that they knew Friday that he'd be back Saturday and they went out and scored all those runs Friday night as well? I mean, they seem like Hunter Pence sprinkled his pixie dust upon the Giants, and suddenly everybody went out and did well again. I mean, even the night before he came off the DL, it was like, hey, look at this. We can hit again.
Yeah, it was absolutely insane. The night before he comes back, they score 11 or whatever it is, and then they score... 9 or 10.
Went
and
10,
then they scored
11, 9.
Or 10, 11,
Yeah.
9. That's right, 10, 11, 9. I mean, he's just, it's just great. I mean, we know that this team, even though they're 20-18, which we're all happy about considering their start, if he had not broken his arm, there's no doubt in my mind this team would be 4 or 5 games better than they are right now. But, it's baseball. What are you going to do? People get hurt. Got to deal with it. Wasn't intentional. But, the fact is that they're in second place in the National League West. They are right there in the wild card hunt, which is silly to talk about now, a quarter of the way through the season, right? I mean, because it's like things are going to change so much. But point being, they're in a position to do damage down the road. So, and they got Pence back. So we're all happy. The Reverend is back. He is going to be a force to reckon with here at AT&T Park. But what's really interesting is the moves they've had to make room for him. And they sent down Hector Sanchez, which was expected. He still had options left. And they're reverting to 2 catchers. I guess Casey McGee, Bruce Bochy was saying, is the emergency third catcher. So that's kind of the old Pablo, which is kind of funny because that's exactly who he replaced. But they had to make room on the 40-man roster. And so they designated for assignment Eric Cordier, which, I'm not saying they're not going to win a World Series because he's gone, but at the same time, he was a prized prospect in their system. He's a guy who throws 100 miles an hour, and he has had some control issues. But so far this year, he has a sub-2 ERA in the minor leagues. And so to me, clearly, and correct me if I'm wrong, if he's been picked up already, but has he been picked up? Have you heard?
No, not that I've heard yet, but I haven't looked through enough things yet tonight.
Yeah, because everyone was saying that the chances of him not being picked up and clearing waivers to be re-signed by the Giants were very, very, very slim to none. Especially considering division rivals might just sign him to cock block the Giants, basically. But yeah, he's one of those valuable guys that you kind of go, well, what are you going to do? I mean, did you have any other ideas of who they might designate for assignment? Because he was out of options, and other guys they couldn't really move. So.
No, because they're trying to keep guys like Carbonell on, to make sure they can look at them down the road. No, all I've seen right now is designate for assignment. There's no pickup yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they want to keep guys like Carbonell on the 40-man just to look at it. And, I mean, quite frankly, the Giants have a lot of pitching at the major league level, and he's a major league ready pitcher.
He is. He'd be on the roster of some other teams. For sure.
Right. So the Giants don't want to stand in his way, I think, as part of it. You know what I mean? I think it's just kind of one of those normal run-of-the-mill transactions. Like, if you can find yourself a job with another team, kid, go for it. Because you're ready to do that. The Giants just don't have space for him.
Yeah. And they don't. I mean, Hunter Strickland isn't even, up with the team. George Contos, who has often bounced up and down the last 3 years, has been a force in the bullpen this year.
He has.
You get other guys in the bullpen right now, and there's really nothing no guy I can point to that I would say should not be on the 25-man roster right now.
Exactly.
So, I mean, the bullpen has been so solid, and so I think that's what the Giants are thinking. They're just like, well, it's not like we had a weak guy that we could let go, so we got to look down the path. We don't want other guys who do have options to be sent down. So he's just kind of, the embarrassment of riches that the Giants have in their relief corps. I mean, granted, we have starting pitching issues, which we all know about, but, Cordier is one of those guys where he's just, there's too many cooks in the kitchen, and the Giants just had to make a calculated move to do that. So a little bit sad that he's DFA'd, but who knows, maybe a miracle will happen, and other teams are like, well, we don't want to sign him because we don't want to get rid of this guy, right? I mean,
we're only sad because he helped win their third title. Mm-hmm. Their third title. That's all this guy did.
He was out there.
One of three.
He was out there on the field in Kansas City. He was one of the players. He was there in the dugout. So, in fact, one of the pictures, one of the famous pictures you see of all the teammates running out, rushing Bumgarner, you see Cordier on the back. So, I mean, it's just funny to me. I just love where our place is as Giants fans. Yeah, we're like, the bald dude was there on the field.
This is a guy, right? This is what I'm
contributed.
saying. This is a guy that contributed slightly to the third World Championship in 5 years.
Yeah, a few innings. That's about it.
You know, but we hold on to him because he contributed slightly to the third World
and he's got
Championship.
good stuff, right? And you're like, maybe
Right?
maybe we need. Right now, we don't need him, but later
He's
we
got
might
70,
need him.
Yeah, he's got 72 hours to clear waivers, and what was it? It was about 24, maybe about 28 hours ago.
Yeah,
right.
it was yesterday. He was DFA'd. So anyway,
So,
I'm sure we picked up, but that's okay. I mean, that shit happens. It is what it is, and most of the time, it does not bite the Giants in the ass. So hopefully, Sabian knows what he's talking about here. So I want to talk about Angel Pagan because he has been very, very good so far this year, especially considering that he was their traditional leadoff hitter. Of course, now usurped by Nori Aoki, and he's hit number 3, which, they say in the classic baseball sense that your number 3 hitter is your best hitter. Now, I don't think any of us are going to say that Angel Pagan is the best hitter on the Giants because I think most of us would assign that to, Buster Posey or someone like that. But he is primed for that lefty position, switch hitting position, and with the speed in front of Buster and Hunter and Belt and those guys, he's leading the team in average with 324, just ahead of Belt, by the way. So everyone who's still booing on Belt, he's only 3 points behind Pagan, but he's always been known to have injury problems, and even though he's been relatively injury-free in the first quarter of the season, he has had back spasms 2 days ago. He was held out of the lineup yesterday. I haven't heard if he's going to be in the lineup tomorrow. I think we'll find out, when the afternoon comes. But that's where he had his injury bugaboos. And I'm just a little concerned. It's not like, oh, my quad is strained. It's like, oh, it's a new injury. He'll be fine in a couple of days, right? This is exactly the injury that has led to his extended absences in the past. And so I'm a little concerned right now. No one knows anything, but if it's something that flares up now, even if it goes away in a couple of days, is this something that, Eric, you're concerned about that, come 2 weeks from now, 2 months from now, it's going to be another, Pagan's gone for 3 months,
Well, it's something I don't want to be concerned about. Like,
no one wants to be concerned about.
Right. Well, I try not to think, Angel Pagan is injury prone. I try not to lean that way as much as I do lean that way.
But he is.
But he is. So the thing I actually think about him maybe having back spasms, and if that's a problem, I don't think the Giants would miss a beat. I really don't right now. As much as Pagan has been doing, I don't feel like he's what's been making the engine go, specifically these last 3 games. It's not like he's been in the middle of some of it, but it doesn't feel like he's been in the middle of all of it.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there. In fact, now that Hunter Pence is back, they're talking about it being a bit of a logjam in the outfield because you got Maxwell's played well, Aoki's played well, Pagan's played well, Hunter's back, and then Blanco.
Aoki's driven in more runs than Pagan.
Yeah, and then you got Blanco, which of course he's down the list a little bit, but we know what he can do. So you got those 5 outfielders right there. So if Pagan does go down for an extended period of time, it's not like, oh my God, what do the Giants do? They have no one. Of course not. They have plenty of depth. So I think, in the long run, they're going to be okay. I mean, certainly I would love Pagan as a regular over Blanco, but if Maxwell keeps up what he's been doing, which, that remains to be seen. I think he's kind of a streaky player. I think he's a guy who will go for a month just on a tear, and then he's just going to hit 100, 150 or whatever. I mean, that's kind of his track record in his major league career. So unlike Pagan, who, he has his ups and downs, but he usually floats around the 280, 290, 300, 310 mark. It is one of those things where it's like, well, okay, it's not the end of the world. It's not like they're going to be down to no one. So I guess it's not a good problem to have, but at least it's a problem that I think will be easily solved with, Bochy just plugging in Maxwell or Blanco whenever he needs to, based on the matchups, because you got your lefty righty right there. So I think that's about it. But I mean, hopefully Pagan's going to be okay, because I think that's one of those guys where he will make, when you talk about WAR, wins above replacement, I think he will add at least 1 or 2 games over the duration of the season over a Blanco type player. And that could make the difference between a wild card or the West, depending on where they end up. So I think, we need to have Pagan, but it's not going to be a disaster if they don't have him, unlike 2011 when they lost Buster Posey or something like that.
2013 when they lost Pagan.
Well, yeah, there you go. Or 2013.
I thought he was the
That's
key
true.
to the 2013 season going down the crapper.
Well, and they have those crazy stats of like what the Giants' record is when he's with the team and when he's not with the team. It's so ridiculous, especially in 2013. That was the worst. But even all of the times he missed in 2012 and 2014, they still had a winning record with him. They have a losing record without him. So there is a bit of a tangential evidence there that suggests that whatever it is, maybe it's just coincidence, but probably not, he is definitely a part of the winning formula. But then I think the big exception to that rule, if you want to call it a rule, is last year's playoffs, right?
Yeah.
He wasn't there for any of it. None of it. And they won the World Series. So, when the rubber meets the road, it's like, okay, yeah, maybe they're better with Pagan. They've proven they can win in the playoffs without Pagan. So, there you go. I think it's going to be okay.
Well, 2 of the 3 titles are without him in center field. So
well, that's true.
kinda,
2010,
yeah.
you don't have him either. So there you go. Okay, so I just wanted to dip into a couple of stats right now because we're going to be winding down the podcast. But I was looking through the stats today, and I was shocked. I mean, granted, they've scored 30 runs in 3 games, but that's, less than 10% of the season. They lead the National League in batting average. What the fuck? What? Like, Colorado is almost always at the top. And how are they not? Even with their losing record, it doesn't matter. They just they hit like 290 at their park or whatever. But the Giants are leading the National League in batting average with a 269 average, which to me is absolutely insane. So they're third in on-base percentage. But what's funny is that they're 12th in runs. And
right.
I don't have the stats with me right now, but I know that they're near the bottom in knocking in runs with runners in scoring position.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's all it makes me think of is how they're hitting or not hitting with runners in scoring position.
So they're hitting overall. They're hitting fine. It's just that when they get runners on base, they're not hitting. And last year, I remember distinctly, they were leading the world in average with runners in scoring position, especially with 2 outs for the first half of the season.
The 2-out hits.
And that's exactly, I mean, you know this, that's your moniker.
Yep.
And it was incredible because that's one of the huge factors into building that 42-21 record that they started with. Think about that, 42-21. They have 18 losses right now, only 3 fewer losses, but they only have 20 wins, not 42. So you think about if they wanted to match last year's mark, they would have to go 22-3. 22-3 right now. They're not going to do that, clearly. And they still didn't even win the West, despite that start. So it just shows you how hot the Giants were in the first third of the season last year because of those 2-out hits and runners in scoring position. So they're hitting the ball overall better than they were last year. Their average is higher than it was last year, but not with runners in scoring position. So I think that's it. That's a huge flaw that they need to build upon, and I think that's a kind of a well-known fact for all Giants fans. Along with that, of course, we all know that this team is not built for power. They lost Pablo. They lost Morse. No one thought that they were going to lead the league in home runs, of course. Believe they're 12th in home runs out of 15 National League teams. So it's kind of where we imagine they would be. But what's really crazy is that the Dodgers lead the National League with 54 home runs. The Giants have 28. So the Dodgers have almost basically twice as many home runs as the Giants so far, which is I mean, that is a huge advantage, and clearly that's going to shrink as the season goes on. But at the same time, I mean, if the Giants had what is that, 26 more home runs over 38 games, you definitely can add a few more wins to the total for sure. So
yeah,
I think
no
it's something
doubt about that.
They're definitely missing right now, and I think that speaks to why the Dodgers, because the Dodgers, their pitching is actually worse than the Giants right now. The Giants have a better team staff ERA than the Dodgers, which was to be expected. I think everybody had questions about their pitching, but their offense is just lighting it up. So I think that explains why they have that 4.5 game lead on the Giants right now, and they have the second best record in the National League. So the Giants are not going to compete with them in home runs, but hopefully if they can turn around some 2-out hits and runners in scoring position average, they can close that gap. And it's going to be huge. I can go ahead and talk about what's coming up. They got 3 games coming up against the Dodgers at home. Of course, the Giants are 4-2 against the Dodgers this year. They've swept the Dodgers at home. So, yeah, I mean, it's not going to be the end of the season if they lose 2 out of 3 to the Dodgers, but I think they're in prime position because they're hitting well. They got Hunter back. They got Mad Bum going against Kershaw again, and Mad Bum apparently seems to keep beating Kershaw in that situation.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Which is awesome. And if they could take 2 out of 3, they'll shave the lead down to 3.5. So I think they're in a good opportunity now, because after this it'll be 9 games out of the 19 they play for the season, so they'll be halfway through their season, season mark, whatever. But I think the Giants are in a perfect position. Their cylinders are running, at full steam right now. So I think it's going to be a good thing. I mean, what do you think coming into this series with the Dodgers?
Well, their schedule's primed for them to go on a tear right now.
Yeah, you were mentioning this before the podcast. Why don't you let them know what's after the Dodgers?
Well, I mean, they have the Dodgers for these 3, and they're at their own home park, comfortable against the Dodgers. So it's not like their park is the total, oh my God, pitcher's park nightmare. It's, the Giants are at home. They're comfortable. But then they go to Colorado for 4 because they have a doubleheader this Saturday.
Yeah.
Against Colorado. And then Milwaukee for 3, both launching pads. And then they come home for a couple of series against Atlanta and Philadelphia, Pittsburgh. And then they go on the road to Philadelphia, which is another place to hit the ball out of the yard. And they're well rested coming into that, as there's a day off between their last home game and the first game of that road trip. And then even after Philly, they get a day off. It's nice like that. And coming from Cincinnati and Houston, it's like the Giants got their chances to get their bats right for the next little bit that's coming up here. The Giants are going to go on a tear right now. They really are. I think this is their best chance to go on a little bit of a run.
No, I agree. I mean, even if they lose 2 out of 3 to the Dodgers and,
yes,
they split against the Braves or something like that, I do agree with you. They're going to be playing 4 in Colorado, who, they have the worst record in the National League right now with the Brewers. Then they go to Milwaukee and do the same thing, launching pad at Miller Park. Then
is. I've been there, man. The ball flies.
Yeah. And then they got Philadelphia, after the other series. I mean, this is definitely in the next 20 games. Even if they struggle against the winning teams, there should be no reason, which, hey, look, it happens. They could get swept by Milwaukee. We don't know, but
they don't struggle against winning teams. That's the beautiful thing. The Giants
generally
this
they don't.
season,
You're right.
This season they are 11-7, a 6.11 winning percentage against teams with a 500 or better record at the start of that game.
Yeah.
It's the most wins in the National League in those games.
That's a good
11-7 against teams 500 or better at the start of the day.
That's good.
And they're not just winning; they're winning against the good teams and then beating up on the bad teams right now. They just they had a crappy start.
Yeah, no, they just had a crappy start, and they just they've shaken the cobwebs out, and I'm excited. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, I was hoping they would be at 500 at 40 games. Here we are; they're guaranteed to be 500 at 40 games because they've already won 20. But it's you see the road ahead of them, and you realize it is paved to do very, very well. And they cannot worry themselves about the Dodgers, because the Dodgers are going to do what the Dodgers are going to do. And if they win the West, so be it. The Giants still have every opportunity to get into that one game wild card playoff, which we all know what happened last year. You know, it could happen. But it is absolutely primed right now. And so hopefully, you know, Matt Cain's going to come back in, you know, a few weeks, although we have no idea about that. We won't even talk about that. Although Heston, granted he had a hiccup his last start, has been a very serviceable replacement for him. So, you know, the Giants are just kicking on all cylinders right now. So I think it's nothing but good things for the Giants. In fact, one of the things I wanted to talk about is, we talked about Cordier, of course, is Matt Duffy and Casey McGee. It's something that, hey, look, last year, it was about this time. It was late May. Pablo Sandoval, in fact, by June 1st or May 31st, was still hitting under 200. And everybody was calling for his head. Get rid of
stunk. I wanted him.
Yeah.
I was like,
fat.
thank goodness they didn't re-sign him.
Yeah, blah, 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 blah. And, of course, Willie and I are famously known for calling for his contract extension in the spring.
Yes.
And, of course, you know, we said, give him whatever he needs. And we had predicted the $18 to $20 million range that he was worth on the free market because of the lack of third baseman. It's, you know, supply and demand kind of thing. And, of course, you know, the Giants did shortchange him on his offer. He declined it. He started the season poorly. Right now, he was hitting at a lower average than Casey McGee is right now. And everybody was like, oh, that's it. He's done, whatever. He ends up hitting, what, 279 for the season. And, of course, we all know what he did for, you know, in the postseason. He was absolutely incredible in the playoffs, in the World Series. I mean, Panda was being Panda. Panda gonna Panda. And it was just kind of funny to see the Giants brass go, oh, right, yeah, yeah, that's what you do for us. We kind of forgot about that. Yeah, you kind of do well in the playoffs, even if you only hit 270 in the... Yeah, here you go, $95 million over 5, which was $5 million more than Boston. But at that point, he had already made up his mind. It didn't matter how much the Giants offered him. He was going to walk. But point being, McGee is here, Santa Cruz native, Giants fan, you know, growing up. He's struggling right now. And he's had a little bit of a spark the last 3 games, but he's still hitting 202 right now in 99 at-bats. Matt Duffy has 79 at-bats, but is hitting over 304. So he has 24 hits. McGee only has 20 hits. The alarming stat to me, which we all talked about when they signed him, was he led the major leagues in double plays grounded into last year with 31 double plays. And that's a lot. Here we are, not even a third of the way into the season, right? We're a quarter of the way into the season. 2 games shy of that, I should say. He's grounded into 12 double plays, Eric. 12 in 99 at-bats. Think about that.
It feels like he does it every game.
That is more than 1 out of every 10 at-bats. He's grounding into 2 outs. That is insane. He is on pace for 50 grounded into double plays. 50. It would obliterate last year's 31. Now, he's not going to get to 50. We all know that. He's in a bit of a streak right now. It's going to, you know, we're going to correct to the mean here. But at the same time, 12? 12. That's fucking insane. He has been nothing but a rally killer, to be honest. He has his one shining moment, I think, was that grand slam at AT&T Park. Other than that,
he had a 9th inning base hit to keep a Giants game alive one time. I can't remember the game, but I can't. You know,
every squirrel's going to get a nut, right?
Sometime, right? Yeah, it's what happened. Yeah, it might have been against Colorado for all I remember.
Yeah,
but he hit a base hit. It went to right field, and he kept the game going.
Yeah,
right. He kept the game going.
But overall, and then not only that, I don't have the stats.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not like back.
You're not defending him. I know.
No, oh heck no.
And then of course his defense has been subpar at best. You know, he's committed quite a few errors, and so he's certainly not Pablo.
He leads the team in errors.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where we all say we trust in Bochy, and it's what he did last year with Pablo. It's what he's done with other veterans and other players. No matter how much the public is calling for a player's replacement, he just sticks with them. And he's right 99% of the time. He knows exactly what he's doing. This guy hit 280 whatever last year, and he had, a shit ton of RBI. He obviously knows how to hit in the major leagues. He's proven it before. And all I can say is I think that's just what Bochy is counting on. Bochy is just counting on him getting that sample size up, going on a tear, and suddenly he's hitting 270. But he's got to go on quite a tear to be able to do that. And so my question to you, Eric, is at what point, because Pablo was at this point last year and there was no move made, at what point, if he doesn't improve, does Bochy make a move, as in like a Duffy replacement or something else?
I'd like him to do it immediately. I tried to hold out on McGee as long as I could. I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt, but the thing is I lived in the Chicago area when he first came up, and I watched him play, and nothing he ever did overly impressed me, and nothing has changed except his age.
Yeah.
And so I want to see Duffy in as the third baseman.
Yeah, I agree with you because I think Pablo's one of those guys who's got pop. He's got good defense. He has these incredible games every so often, specifically in the playoffs. He's one of those wild cards you just keep with. Plus, Bochy's managed him long enough to know who he is. He's a known commodity. McGee is not known to him in terms of his personal experience. You just have to go on his track record. And I agree with you. I mean, he had, aside from one outstanding season in Milwaukee where he hit, 18 home runs or whatever it was. Maybe he's in more than that. I can't remember. But it's a bandbox. Casey McGee is not going to be some crazy superstar. He's just not. So even if you let him play, what's the best he's going to do, Eric? 280? 3 bombs? 4 bombs? 70 RBI? I mean, that's great. That's fine. But why risk the lack of offense to get mediocre offense? Not saying that Matt Duffy is going to hit 30 home runs and knock in 120. Of course not. But you have very little money invested into McGee. It's a 1-year contract. Why not give the kid a chance? He's had incredible batting averages throughout his minor league career, including Double-A in Shreveport, where it's a notorious pitcher's park or pitcher's league, and he was hitting over 320 last year. And that's one of the reasons they called him up, and he skipped Triple-A. Here we are this year. He's in the major leagues. He's 79 at-bats. He's hitting 304. Never going to be a power hitter, but he's a good defender. He's fast, and he's one of those he's like a mosquito. You know what I mean? Like he's a tough bat. He's a tough at bat. And I just think that we're at the point now. Well, I mean, I'll give Bochy a pass, and certainly he's going to let McGee start at least for the near short term. But at the same time, I don't think there's a downside to just putting in Duffy most of the time. I really don't. So because you're not going to get a lot out of McGee anyway. So why not start Duffy? Especially since he's hitting, 100 points higher than him right now. So it's one of those interesting things, but it's a very hot topic on Twitter.
Duffy
and
should be in there. Duffy's cheap.
Yeah, he's cheap. Yeah.
He's young. He's not taking anything away from what McGee would possibly give. No, Duffy's the answer right now.
Yeah. I just think that at this point...
Bochy loves his veterans.
He loves his veterans, and I think, he will make a move at some point. Like, if McGee continues on this slide, it will be far sooner than the All-Star break. But the question is it going to be in a week? Is it going to be beginning of June? Is it going to be mid-June? Is it going to be the end of June, right? I mean, it's certainly going to be before the All-Star break if he doesn't come around. But when is it going to be? A quarter way through the season, and he hasn't made a move yet. So, but I'm with you. I'm saying Duffy now. I was holding off, but I'm definitely there now.
Yeah.
All right, so just a few more things right now. One thing is Bochy, of course, is going to be the manager for the National League All-Star team this year in Cincinnati. And today he did name his a couple of coaches on his staff. One of them is going to be Don Mattingly from the Dodgers, which is pretty interesting, but to be expected. I know. Boo. It's
Donnie's an idiot. Boo.
I don't think anyone thinks that Don is a good manager.
He's an idiot.
Dodger fans don't even think he's a good manager. No, they don't.
He's notorious for the double switch.
Yeah.
He's an idiot.
He's just got so much talent. He just steps into wins, right?
Don Mattingly is stupid.
Yeah, I agree. But he did, extend that offer to him, which was, it's not a surprise because, they're leading the West and whatever. I don't like it because, of the obvious. If it was like Tony La Russa or Joe Torre or someone like that managing the Dodgers, which, well, he did at one point, of course, Joe Torre did, I'd be like, oh, okay, well, at least he's a good manager, but like you said, we don't think he's a good manager, so why the hell are you picking him? And then second, of course...
To rub it in.
And then he took Brian Price of the Reds, which, again...
That's why you pick him.
He's another guy that yeah, that's true, huh? That's a good point. And I actually never thought of it that way, but it is kind of like a whole, like, he could hide behind, well, I'm extending the olive branch to the Dodgers and inviting him. But on the other hand...
He's pointing out that they're the world champs and they're not. That's it.
Hey, Dodger manager. Hey.
You're not the world champ.
Would you like to manage on my team because I get to manage this team because I won the World Series last year? Would you like to? Okay, cool. Yeah, you're right about that. It is I never thought of it that way, but it's totally there.
That's how I think about it.
You got Brian Price of the Reds, who, with his 77 fucks, he does give a fuck because he accepted. But that was to be expected because it is going to be played in Cincinnati. So it's kind of it doesn't happen every year, but it's a traditional extension,
Okay, that explains it. I didn't know why I picked him. I didn't really even care why he picked him.
Yeah.
It's in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Wow, that home run contest is going to be wow.
Oh, I know, right? Yeah. So notable scrubs or snubs, I should say. One of them I think that is obvious is Mike Matheny. He's one of those guys that he not only played for the Giants, but he's considered a very, very good manager, very classy manager. And, of course, the Giants beat them in last year's NLCS. And it's just one of those things where I think I'm one of those fans that actually would have liked to see him extend the opportunity to him, but not in the same way as you're suggesting towards Don Mattingly as like an FU, because it would actually be a genuine, hey, you're a damn good manager, I want you on my bench. Not, hey, you're a buffoon, and I'm going to rub this in your face. But anyway, look, he has limited slots, so it is what it is. But it's cool. I mean, this is the third time that Bochy gets to manage the All-Star team, and so far he's 2-0. So we'll see what happens this year. It's pretty cool.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to our new favorite guy. I'm going to go ahead and start it off. I think it's pretty obvious. Yes, Hunter Pence, the Reverend. Holy crap, dude. He's back. He's back.
He is.
And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and put this in the show notes. We didn't talk about this before, but there was this great series of black and white images that this one photographer took during kind of his rehab, kind of select images or whatever. It's just really cool. It's just kind of him in his element, scootering down the Embarcadero, having coffee with his girlfriend, working out in the weight room, rehabbing, basically everything. So it's kind of a cool, different look because he allows that kind of stuff to happen in his life. He's definitely more open than most players. So I'll post that link in the show notes. But Hunter Pence, my new favorite guy. So how about you?
My new favorite guy is Contos because as much as the women talk about Contos on Twitter, nobody really actually talks about what Contos is doing.
Yeah, that's true.
So, and he's been doing it. He really has.
He has.
I it's funny, when I put this down, I had the stats in front of me, and I don't even have them. But I mean, his ERA is like 1.15. His WHIP is like 1.15. It's like it's absolutely ridiculous right now.
No, George Contos has been absolutely solid, which is great to see because
and he's the front end of the bullpen. He's not even the back end of the bullpen. That's the thing.
No, that's a good point. All right, so we're going to get to the section of we should hate this guy. Now, typically, we're going to hate on people that are related to the Giants in some way, like a Dodger or something like that. But I'm kind of going outside the box right now, and I'm going with Jeff Loria, who is the owner of the Miami Marlins. Now, he fired the manager, former manager now, Mike Redmond, yesterday. And, of course, they're 16-22, which is not a horrendous record. It's not a good record, but it's 6 games under 500. And considering that they could have won a couple of additional games. The Giants had 2 walk-offs against the Marlins, right? So that's 2 games they could have won. The Dodgers had a walk-off against the Marlins right after that. So that's 3 games right there. So if you do those 3-game swing, they're 900. Or they're 900. They're 500. They're 19-19. 900. That'd be awesome.
Right.
So my
I'll
point
root for that team.
Yeah. My point being that it's not like they were getting slaughtered every game. Granted, he was fired after they were no hit for 8 2/3 innings last night, before Shelby Miller gave up 2 consecutive singles and then finally shut it out for the 2-hitter. But the point being is that the Marlins are not a horrible 16-22. They could have easily been 18-20 or 19-19, basically right where the Giants are right now. But he was fired, and so here's 2 things that just make me laugh. Number 1, Jeff Loria is now paying 3 managers for the Miami Marlins. 3 managers are on their payroll. Number 2, they hired this is Jeff Loria and his trust. They made the GM, I forget his name right now, the manager. The GM never played a day in professional baseball.
Jennings.
Yeah, Doug Jennings or something like that. Dan Jennings.
Something Jennings. Dan Jennings might be right. Yeah, that might be right.
Never played any sort of professional ball. Never managed in any professional or college ball. Not even Little League. But he named him the field manager. I mean, it sounds funny, and you kind of go, oh, what would that be like? That would be like Bruce Bochy being fired and Brian Sabian being named manager. Honestly.
No. That'd be like Bruce Bochy getting fired and me getting named manager.
It's so
that's
insane.
How wacky it is that this guy got named manager.
It is so wacky. They're calling this the wackiest hire since like 1980 when I can't remember. It was, since Jerry Coleman for the Padres was named manager. However, he was a broadcaster at the time, but he played in the majors, right? He played for the Yankees. He was an all-star. He won championships.
He won championships.
Yeah, and he was a World War II pilot or Korean War, pilot, whatever. Point being is that he had playing experience at least, right?
Yeah.
This dude is like, I agree, man. He is like a super rotisserie stat nerd, basically being named manager because, granted, he knows more about the Miami Marlins personnel than we know about the San Francisco Giants. Granted, that's his full-time job. He's signed guys like Giancarlo and D. Gordon, and you go down the list, whatever. He's been GM for 2 or 3 years, and he's been in the organization since 2002. So he's been there for 13 years. So he knows the players. There's a difference in a geek. I'm not calling him a geek. I'm just trying to make the analogy here of someone who knows the numbers and knows the players and knows their history, as opposed to someone who can command respect. And that's what I think is laughable. I think these guys, especially the younger baseball players, look, most GMs never played or whatever, and they're the brains behind everything. They make all the pieces move. The players don't have to respect the GMs. They meet with them once or twice a year. the field managers, those are the guys they got to respect. Those are the guys they talk to. Those are the ones that have to be motivated. Those are the ones that have the meetings in the clubhouse. Those are the ones that you have the motivational speeches. Those are the ones that you have anecdotal stories about, hey, back in my day, anything that a manager can do to get their best out of their players. They know what button to push because they can relate. And I think that's the crux of the issue. Do you think that you could manage an American League team? Probably, Eric, because
why not?
It's not that hard on paper. It really is not. The crucial part of it is the human relationship. And you would never be respected by the players because they'd be like, who the fuck is this Eric Nathanson? He knows a lot about baseball. He writes. Who cares? It's the same with this guy. It's like, oh, yeah, he was our GM. He doesn't know shit. He doesn't know about me. He doesn't know about baseball.
That's a
He never
shame,
played.
because I'd be a really damn good man.
It reminds me of, oh my God, what was that? One movie with a 12-year-old kid became manager of the Twins.
Oh, yeah, Little Big League.
Yeah, Little Big League, right? The same thing, right? It's like, okay, he's not a kid, obviously, but it was the dynamic was the players did not respect him. And I think that's what Jeff Loria is opening this up to. I think he's opening up some of the players, not all of them, some of the players to go, you're telling me where to play? You're telling me where to shift, what signs to play, when to run, when... No, you don't know jack about baseball. You just know about players and stats and signing and money. You don't know about the game. But anyway, I just think it was a very peculiar move, and I don't like it. I don't just as a baseball fan in general. I think it's a horrible.
Wait! You all heard it, right? Chad just compared me to some 14-year-old kid that then didn't know what he was doing. You all heard that, right? I just want to make sure, for my credibility's sake, thank you for listening to the podcast. I appreciate it.
Now I'm comparing you to a 57-year-old guy who makes millions of dollars, being a general manager, managing a team.
I'd never be a general manager. That's the thing.
Well, that's my point. Is that you know a lot about baseball. Not more than about the Miami Marlins, and this guy does. Don, whatever his name is, Dan
Jennings.
Dan Jennings, thank you.
It's such a white bread name.
Yeah, Dan Jennings. I watched his speech today. It was actually pretty pathetic. It did not inspire confidence in, I think, any of the Marlins fans. But, it's just, I think any of us would dream to manage a major league team. I think it would be awesome. Be like, oh yeah, I would love to manage. No, it would never work out because the players would never respect you, no matter how nice of a guy you were and how much you knew. They just would never respect you.
Players. Nah, all right, I'll stop.
Yeah, you'll just bench those players.
I keep going all night, man.
All right, so who do you hate?
Who do I hate? Oh, I don't know. I have to click a button. Oh, I hate Johnny Cueto only because I want Johnny Cueto.
Yeah,
like
awesome.
The guy is so good. Like there's never not a time you don't watch him when you're not jealous. Every time you watch him pitch, you're just jealous. You're like, why can't that guy do that for our team? You know, he's so good. He's fun to watch. I love how he, and this is funny because it's, why should we hate him? But I love how he will quick pitch like he was doing the other night. He'll show his back and then he won't show his back and he'll throw the pitch a lot quicker and things like that. And it threw the guys off balance. It was really neat to see, quite honestly.
Yeah.
And I hate him because he's not one of, if he was a Giant, I wouldn't hate him. But I hate him because he's just so damn good. And it's really tough for them to face him.
Yeah. No, it's very tough for him to face. And I didn't put this in the notes, and I don't want to dwell on this, but thinking about him being a Giant, it just reminded me that Troy Tulowitzki has been rumored to be wanting to be traded from the Rockies, and one of his prime destinations that he wants to go to is San Francisco.
I'd put him at third base.
Right. So that's what a lot of people are saying is like, of course you're not going to replace Crawford because, oh, by the way, Crawford's hitting almost 300. He's leading the team in home runs and RBI. So, yeah, that's good. And a defensive wizard at that. But, yeah, third base is the logical place for him. However, it is a trade. It's a trade. So, what do the Giants have to give up for a guy who not only costs a shit ton of money, which the Giants have, they have the cash,
Susak.
but they also need to understand his injury history. And that's the other huge problem with, I think, this trade. So, I mean, to me, Sabian's definitely not going to do this. I don't think it's... I think if the health was not as much of a factor, I think it would be at least in the ballpark of a possibility. Because, like you said, it'd be packaging up a Susak and a Crick kind of thing.
Yeah,
But,
you probably would.
yeah, it would definitely take 2 or 3 players and cash, I think, or something like that. But I think considering the hefty contract, in addition to losing those guys, in addition to his injury history, which I think is a huge wild card, yeah, Giants are going to do this. Not only that, but the Rockies, I mean, most teams do not want to trade within their division. It happens, but it's rare. It's rare, especially midseason. So, yeah, I don't think the Giants are going to be landing Troy Tulowitzki. But, man, could you imagine that, though, just to have fun? Just thinking about Troy Tulowitzki at third instead of Casey McKee.
Tulo at third would be awesome.
Oh, my God. Tulo at third. Holy crap. It'd be amazing. Now, that all being said, Brandon Crawford has 5 home runs or 6 home runs this year. Tulo has 2. So, it is what it is. But no, look, his track record, obviously, he's been an incredible player. And I'm sure the Giants would love to have him, but probably not going to happen. All right, so we're down to the end of the podcast here, and we're going to go ahead and wrap this up with why will we win it all, or why we will win it all. You go ahead, go first this time, Eric.
Well, I mean, mine's easy. It's Hunter Pence.
Yeah.
They hung and hung and hung and hung around 500, and here he is. Hunter Pence is back. They were at exactly 500 when he returned. They're 2-0 since, but no, he's the guy. He is the soul of the ball club. Buster Posey's the heart. He's the soul, and Hunter Pence is the reason they'll win it all.
Dude, that line drive home run he hit yesterday, holy crap.
Oh.
That thing got out in about 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, Kipe didn't even have time to call it.
That was like, and he swings and, it's a home run. It was absolutely, Kipe's call of Brandon Belt's home run, the first night I believe it was absolutely
the
incredible.
foul one?
The foul one
that was foul, yeah.
Oh, man, it was so nonchalant. And he hits one now, and that's going to be foul. And there was like this long pause. No, it's fair. It's a home run.
Yeah.
Apparently, yesterday they played that call for Brandon Belt and the players in the clubhouse just to make fun of Kipe. And Belt was like, "Oh, that's the best call I've ever heard of a home run." Belt just going along with it. Yeah, that was pretty awesome. I don't know how you missed something that obvious. They played John Miller's call right after it, and he had no question that it was going to be a home run. So,
Oh, that's funny.
yeah.
I didn't even hear Miller's call. That's funny.
I think Kipe was probably looking down at something. He often gets distracted, I think. So, yeah, I'm going to say that they're going to win it all because even if the Giants don't win the West, again, the wild card is securely within their reach. Not that the West is not. So I would say if they're going to win the West, which doesn't necessarily mean the World Series, but they are going to have to pretty much decimate the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers are built to be a better ball club against other teams. You know what I mean? I think that the Dodgers are going to have a better record than the Giants. So I think the only way they can win the West is they got to take 12 out of 19, 14 out of 19 against the Dodgers. I think that's the only way they do it. Other than that, hey, here we go, wild card, baby. 8-0 Pittsburgh last year. So they're definitely within striking distance. Not going to be an issue. And maybe they're going to break this whole odd year curse. I mean, even to me, if they make the playoffs this year, and even if they get knocked out in a wild card game, they broke the curse. Do you agree?
I didn't think much of a curse.
Or the blessing, whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? The oddity.
They've won
not that I
3 or
believe
5.
in that.
I can't think of anything negative.
Yeah, it's not like,
you kind of know what I mean.
Their curse is they can only win every other year. Oh my god.
Yeah, right. Like
that's horrible.
I can't be too upset with that. Yeah,
it's not a curse. Of course not.
Right.
But you get my drift. It's the whole odd year thing. The odd year curse, I should say.
Kind of what it is,
yeah.
you know?
But yeah. Anyway, to me, I think
Scott Cousins and it's Angel Pagan. That's what it is.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Buster Posey going down and Angel Pagan going down. And those two things are amazingly huge. And this year you got...
Right, they really are. And they're in May.
No.
They're both in May.
They're both in May. And, you know, we're almost out of May. And here we go. Pagan has got back spasms. So
yeah, well, the big thing is
we'll see.
They can go on a surge now. They'll be good. Yeah.
Oh my God! I swear to God, if Pagan goes down for 3 months, anyway, let's not talk about that till next week. But
no, don't.
No, this is a good podcast because we get to talk about the quarter century mark for the season, and our boys in black and orange are actually right. Exactly where we hoped they would be. In fact, they might even be better. They're going to be at least 20-20. They could be 21-19. They could be 22-18. We don't know, but they're exactly where we wanted them to be after their 4-10 start. They've had the best record in the National League since that horrible start. So there's nothing more that our boys could have done at this point. So we got 3 quarters of the season left. We got the Dodgers coming up, and then a 4-game road trip in Colorado. So hopefully they're going to take maybe. At least 4, if not 5 of these guys, and they're just going to keep ascending up the ladder. But that's going to do it for episode 86 of the Torchcast. Let's see, we got some Twitter handles to hand out here. First of all, you can follow us collectively at Torchcast on Twitter. That's at Torchcast. Also, we're on Facebook. Torchcast, just the way it sounds right there. Pretty easy to find. We're actually very close to 1,000 likes, so if you can go ahead and find us and like us, that would be fantastic. You can follow myself or me. I could follow myself too. You can follow me at ChadKid21. You can follow Eric at 2outhits. That's with the number 2. He does some great stuff. He's been writing a lot for Torchcast lately. He's also been going to Disney World quite a bit. So if you want to read about that on the Twitterverse, that'd be pretty cool. For the absent Willie Dills, you can follow him at Willie Dills. And Ben at Fried Duck on Twitter. You can also read our articles and blogs, and we post all of these podcasts at torchcast.com. Yeah, anything else you want to pimp there, Eric?
No, I got nothing.
You got nothing. Dude, it's like, what, almost 3 a.m. there? It's 2 a.m. in Florida? In the penis,
I'm ready
of America?
Yep, I'm ready to pack it up. The penis is ready to retract.
The penis is ready to contract. Get a little small. It's getting a little cold in the water. I get it. Yeah. It's all good. All right, well.
It's time to hibernate.
Time to tuck in the turtle head.
Oh, man.
I know. We're going south. It's time to end this motherfucker. All right. For the absent Willie and Ben, and for Eric, this is Chad King signing off of the Torchcast, and we hope to see you in episode 87. Until next time, boom.
A big thank you to everybody for listening to the Torchcast, the podcast by and for fans of the San Francisco Giants. Follow us on Twitter at Torchcast. You can also like us on Facebook or check out our blog at torchcast.com. I also want to say thank you to Ashcon and Bailey for letting us use their song Feeling Like a Giant for our intro. For Ben Lee and Chad King, my name is Willie Dills saying, we'll see you next time.